Yesterday I left on command which is called alter. Okay. So till yesterday we have seen what is we played with the data. But today, by using this alter statement, we are going to touch the table structure. Okay. We are going to touch the table structure. That means, so when we create a table, we will be creating with certain columns. So in real time, so usually, right, so whatever table that we have created, so that will change a lot of times. That means, so in one day people says that, so boss, you just add a couple of columns. The other day says that remove some of the columns which is not required, or add few more columns, or change the precision. Okay, as per the requirements, we should be uh, adding a new column, removing a new column, rename the column, and modify the positions. Okay, so these kind of requirements we'll be getting it. Now, if at all we get a requirement to add a column into the table, so what we should do? Okay, SQL developer, let me open one more worksheet. One more worksheet. So yesterday I've created student table, right? So let me check here. So let's start from student. Select start from student means what it is going to give the result. It's going to give the result for all the columns from the table. Okay, yesterday we renamed, right? And at the end we have renamed student table to STUD. Okay, so we have these many columns. Okay, let's say we have a requirement to add one more column called subjects. The student table only, we have an additional requirement to add one more column into the table. So now we should know what is the syntax to add a column. So alter table name, add which column that we have to add. Subject, what is the data type of it? Like, what kind of data it has to store. This particular column has to store what kind of data. So that, let's say I wanted to store string data here. So I'm just giving varchar2. So as you know, right? So whenever we wanted to store alphanumeric values, we're going to use varchar2 data type. And whenever we want to store only numeric values, we'll be using number data type. And if at all we wanted to use the date values, then we'll be going with date data type. Okay. Now subject is going to be kind of maths, physics, chemistry like that. So then we will be call it as alphabets. We're going to store all the alphabets. Hence I'm giving the data type as varchar2. So this table is altered. Now when I execute this select star from this table, the subject column is added. It is having all the null values because we just added the column. We just added the column. We are not giving any data to this particular column. Now, when we add a column, it is going to insert with null value. Now we wanted to add the subject values. Now, when we wanted to add the subject values, what we should do? We have to update the existing data. So now this became an existing data. So since already records are available, already records are there. Okay, we wanted to update. When we wanted to add any data means we have to use an update statement. So to fulfill all these null values. Update, what is the syntax to update? Update table name. set subject equal to maths, where roll number equal to 1. I just updated. Now when you see maths is updated for roll number 1. Right? So this is how we are going to do. So whenever we add any column, then it will we will be working on the update statement. Okay, we'll be using update statement to update the existing data. So this time you might get a doubt there. So here if you have 5, 10 rows or 100 rows, we'll be writing an update statement. Let's say we have 1 million data where we have added a new column. How will we do that? So it will be very difficult to write update statement. So because to write that update statement itself, it is going to take 2-3 days time. That time what we should do? In any cases, in this case, we are going to use IACS mapping to update the values. Okay. So with the SQL statement, we'll not be able to update the millions of data or lakhs of data. So to update that, we are going to use ETL tool to get the records updated. Because we don't need to write any specific update statements there. We will just, fetch the source data and we'll just have a connection with the target. So it will automatically get updated. Okay. So that is the reason you should understand the basic concept now in SQL so that the same thing will get replicated in IACS as well. Okay, that is the reason. So this is the very fundamental where you have to learn this thoroughly. Then only IACS will be easy. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. Okay. So this is just to alter column, add a column. Let's say I wanted to drop a column. Alter table, table name, drop column, subject. Okay, if at all, no, I don't want to have the subject column. I'm going to have the subject columns in a different table. Okay, but accidentally it is been added into the subject table, sorry, student table. Now I wanted to drop that column. So the underlying concept that you have to understand here is what is the syntax that we have to use to drop the column, okay, or to add the column. Because this is the same syntax which we are going to use it in real time also. When you get into real time, you'll be using the same syntax only. You're not going to use anything else because this is standard syntaxes. That is the reason it will be very much uh, easy and helpful when you practice it. See now, when I put self star from table, I don't have this column because I'm using this alter with drop to drop the column. Okay, to rename the column. This also alter table, table name, rename column. Let's say marks to mark. See the table is altered. So this is the previous query result. I'm just pinning it. Now when I execute select star from this table, see the column name is added. See the column name is renamed. So this is how we are going to rename the columns. Okay, so this is see, or whatever the syntaxes which are there in our material, they are more than enough for your practice. Okay, if you practice this. Okay, the next concept is rename thing is completed. The next concept is synonym. Okay, the next concept is synonym. Okay, so basically synonym, we will say it whenever, yeah, before I go to synonym, okay, I'll just tell one thing. Okay, let's say we are in SLK 17 schema. Okay, we are in SLK 17 schema, right? Now, when I wanted to from one schema, access a table from one schema to another schema, what we should do is we have to prefix the schema name. Okay, let me open a worksheet for this. Now I'm in system schema. In system schema, let me try to find out a table. So let's start from EMP. Do I have a table with EMP? No. Employee. Yeah. Now, so let's start from employee. So now I have a table called employee in my system schema. Okay. This is the now I wanted to access this employee table, which is there in system schema. So what I should do? I have to prefix the schema name. Prefix the schema name to the table so that what it is going to do when we execute select star from this. So internally it will go to this system schema and it will look for this table. And if table is present, then it will fetch the data. See? If I don't prefix, if I don't prefix the schema name, what is going to happen? Tabular view does not exist. But if I prefix the schema name, it is giving the data. Because in the backend, when we execute like this, it will go to in the backend, it is going to connect to the system schema and it will look for this employee table, then it is giving the result. Right? Now, so like this, when we wanted to use, okay, so every time we have to prefix the schema name. Okay, so this is where the synonym concept is going to come. So instead of prefixing the schema name, every time, we can create one synonym on top of this table so that whenever we execute select star from employee, we'll be getting the data. Okay, so create synonym. Let's say synonym name I'm giving as employee for system.employee. Okay, now this is a very simple concept. So whenever we wanted to access a table from a different schema, we have to prefix the schema name. In order not to prefix a schema name every time, we can create a synonym for the table with the prefix schema name so that from the next time onwards, we don't need to prefix the schema name. So earlier when I execute the select star from employee, was not getting any data. Now when I execute the select star from employee, I am getting data. So which data I am getting? The backend, it is trying to replace the SQL statement like this. Okay, in the backend, there will be kind of an algorithm which is going to be used to execute the result. Now, so whenever I fetch select star from employee, so in the backend, it is going to use this one, and then it will connect to the system schema, and then it will fetch the data. Okay, so, understood? Guys, anyone having any question? Anyone? Anyone having any questions? Say yes, no. If you don't understand, let me know. I'll explain again.
Bro, explain this last thing alone, bro.
Okay, fine. Let's say this is one schema. This is one more schema. Okay. Now we have data here. This is a SQL 17 schema. Okay. This is system schema. Okay. Now currently I'm in SLK 17 schema. I wanted to access a table of system schema. So in real time, when we get into, there will be a lot of schemas. Okay. So let's say there are 50 schemas or 20 schemas. Okay. We cannot open 20 worksheets here and then we will execute the data. We will write the select statements, right? Now, what we should do, we have to access a table whenever we wanted to access a table from one schema to another schema. Currently, we are here. I wanted to access a table of key. Now, what we should do, I have to prefix the schema name. I have to prefix the schema name. So when I'm going to prefix the schema name, it will in the backend, it is going to automatically go to this schema and look for this table, give us the data. Till this part is clear.
Yes, bro.
Now, just to avoid this one, so just to avoid to prefix the schema name every time to access the same table, what we do, 1 second. Okay, so instead of prefixing the schema name every time, what we do is we will prefix the schema name to the table and we'll create a synonym. Okay, so this is nothing but this one. When we use this name in the select statement, which is nothing but we are giving this name indirectly.
Okay.
So every time when we execute select star from employee, in the backend, the SQL query will be prepared like this. It will
Okay,
get
bro.
the value from here. It will keep it in the select statement and it will execute. So result of giving this is a direct way of giving the schema name. So create a synonym and then use synonym for the select statement is kind of a indirect approach. So indirectly, we are prefixing the schema name. And one advantage here is in real time. So sometimes people will say they are not going to give us the direct access to the schemas. Let's say I have this employee table, okay, and there will be some banking projects or finance projects or insurance projects. So they will be having confidential information in their databases. So that time they don't want to give the access whenever they wish that, so they don't want to give access or they don't want to tell in which schema these tables are there. They wanted to disclose the schema name. So that time what they do, they will just create a synonym like this, and they'll give a synonym name to us, because we will not be
Okay.
able to know in which schema with this table is present. But when we find select star from the table name or synonym name, so we'll be getting the result. See, at the end, business says that, boss, you just need access only for this table. Yeah, I have given the access. That's it. So you don't need to worry, or you don't need to get the details of the schema in which this table is present. So to make the schema name confidential, also one of the reason to create this synonym, or instead of prefixing the schema name every time, we will be we'll be creating a synonym.
Okay.
Any questions, others?
No.
Okay, the next concept is after the synonym, like we can drop the synonym as well. Okay, we can drop synonym also. Drop synonym, synonym name. Synonym is dropped. Now when I try to find select statement on top of this, it is giving table view does not exist. Okay. So the next concept is conditional operators. Conditional selections and operators. Okay. So in the selections, okay, where we have two clauses, where clause and order by clause. Okay. So where clause, yesterday also we have seen, we are going to use this where clause whenever we wanted to specify any condition. Okay. Like when we are updating or when we are deleting, even when when we are selecting also, we can write a condition. So when we write select star from student, I'm going to get all the data. Let's say I wanted to get only specific data where roll number equal to 1. So which is going to give only the records which are matching with this condition. Okay. So when the where clause is going to be used to apply a filter condition, or to fetch only specific data from a SQL statement, or to delete the specific data from a table, or to update the specific record, we are going to use this where clause. Okay, where clause is to give the conditions, and order by clause is to get the data in sorting order, ascending order or descending order, which is not going to filter any data. Now we have the data like this. Let's say I'm going to keep order by roll number descending. Descending is meaning of descending is which is going to give bigger number on the top, smaller number on the bottom. Now when I execute, roll number 321 is coming. When we use descending, the bigger number will be coming on the top and lower number will be coming on the bottom. Or when we wanted to get in the ascending order, you see lower number on the top, bigger number on the bottom. So, so this is how order by class is going to work. And always one thumb rule that you have to follow is always order by class should be at the end of the SQL statement. Be it the SQL statement how much big it is, but order by class we cannot give in middle of the SQL statement. We will have to give the order by class at the end. And also we need to make sure whatever the column that we are using in the order by class, that should be present in the select statement. Sometimes what is going to happen, name, comma, address. Yeah, here it is giving, but in the latest versions, it is not coming up. Okay, in the latest version of SQL, this is 10G. It is a older version in the latest version of SQL. So when we use order by class, we need to also make sure this should be present in the select statement. Okay. Any questions? Anyone having any questions? Okay. So next, the operators are there are three types of operators: arithmetic operators, comparison operators, and logical operators. So arithmetic operators are plus minus, so we don't need to worry about it. And comparison operators and logical operators that we have. Okay. So comparison operators are equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, again not equal to. Not equal to, either we can use like this or we can use like this. Both are not equal to. Between, not between, in, not in, null, not null. Like, okay. And logical operators are and or not operators. Okay. Yeah, I'll explain these operators tomorrow because yesterday class nobody practiced.